Yo, we are live. It is Thursday, April 24th. We got our buddy Corey Connors with the Volcom shirt.
Good morning.
What's up, buddy? How's it going? Host of
Good.
Sustainable Packaging Podcast. Go check him out.
Yes. Yeah. Be sure to check out Avelio's podcast, Packaging Unboxed, the original.
The OG. Yeah. What? All right. So what are we covering today? We're going to talk about EPR. What's EPR stand for?
Extended producer responsibility. And I think these laws are changing the game for packaging in a good way.
Yeah. So let's talk about how you can change your packaging to kind of address these things, reduce some cost, what it is, and kind of where to get started.
Sounds good. Love that intro.
Yo.
So cool.
Cool, man. So what do we got? What do we got going on? We got
a lot of pressure
EPR.
on the industry to change, to make things different, to provide packaging materials that will not only be sustainable but cost the producer, who is the people that you and I deal with. We deal with the producers, and that's not technically always the manufacturer of the packaging, and it's the people that actually put the product into the market. I think that's a common misnomer in extended producer responsibility.
Who is the producer? Just defining that.
Yeah, the people that actually sell the packaging into the market, the brand usually, sometimes the retailer, sometimes the packaging company, but I think that's something we need to define first.
All right, so then give me an example. If Yeti, they make this cup and they put it in a box. Let's say they make it in, I don't know where they make it. Maybe they make it here. Let's say they make it in India.
Yeah.
With company A producing the cup and company B producing the packaging.
Yes.
Company C importing it.
Mm-hmm.
Who is the producer in that case?
In that case, the producer is the brand Yeti themselves.
Okay.
So they're on the hook, and it's up to them to make the right decisions to buy the packaging that is the least costly in extended producer responsibility for them, and to use materials that still protect their product. So that's a big caveat to this whole thing is there's nothing sustainable about damaged goods or rotten food. So we want to really take a hard look at what's being used and choose the right material that will actually protect your product at the lowest fee to the brand, and still make it like, and I know this is your forte, still make it a positive and exciting opening experience for the consumer. So we still have to consider them in this process.
Yeah, but what's the low-hanging fruit? Like, what's the easiest place to kind of get started? What's up, Brandon? How's it going, buddy?
Hey, Brandon.
Let us know where you guys are watching from. If you guys have started dealing with EPR, maybe if you got any questions on EPR, let's throw them up here. We'll kind of get to them. But yeah, what's the low-hanging fruit here?
I think the low-hanging fruit is a switch to mono materials from multi-layer materials, such as pouches and things like that, going to a polyethylene or low-density polyethylene material to make it so your product could actually get recycled. I think that's kind of a step one, and people are kind of jumping on that bandwagon, which is great to see. And also the switch, what we call the paperization of packaging, moving from plastics to paper. I just posted today about a new Ranpak product that's paper wrap instead of plastic stretch film. They have a new material made by Mondi that's paper, curbside recyclable.
Okay. Now, I'm always the one that's like, hey, I don't really sell plastic. I try to help brands kind of evolve beyond plastic or move into paper goods or eliminate packaging altogether.
Right.
why is a paper version of a plastic wrap better when plastic tends to have a lower LCA result in terms of waste,
Yeah.
um, overall, like the before everything that happens before actual use and after, right? Which
Yeah.
is like 95% of everything. So why would you want to move away from that to paper?
Yeah, so you're exactly right. The life cycle analysis of low density polyethylene stretch film versus paper, the plastic would most likely perform better.
Mhm.
Now, you're going to be, the brands are going to be fined or taxed with an extended producer responsibility law by the pound of plastic that they
Mhm.
put into the market per state. So for Oregon, I think it's $1.10 per pound, something like that. Whereas paper is like 3 cents. So it's a significant reduction in cost. So they will overall save money. And the benefit to the consumer is that they will be able to recycle that material curbside along with their corrugated boxes, which is pretty amazing.
Um, okay. So if I put plastic into the market,
Yeah.
in Oregon specifically, I'm paying $1 plus per pound of plastic that I'm putting into the market. Then if like then there's Maine and these other states. Do they have a different amount? Well,
Yes.
I guess it's $1 per pound in Oregon,
Hmm.
right? So if I'm stretch filming my pallet
Hmm.
with all my goods on it, maybe I just deliver it to Utah,
Yeah.
right? Where they don't have an EPR, where they don't have EPR laws, and then from there I can ship out um, to my distribution centers in Oregon
Yeah,
and not have to worry about it. Like there's going to be these opportunities, these loopholes, essentially,
for sure.
to do these types of things.
I think that's exactly right. It's similar to a tariff mindset where
Mhm.
people are all of a sudden saying, "Oh, we can't make it here. It's the tariffs are too high." When we've discussed that on previous shows, where even if you did move it, your costs would go up because the cost of goods at a different country is often significantly higher, even to negate the delta of in
Of
cost
tariffs,
of the
yeah,
tariff. So
yeah. But again, it's only per pound in that particular state. So if I can eliminate that obstacle, if I can,
mhm.
without changing my packaging, if I just change my logistics,
Yeah,
I can
yes,
probably get around that.
you're going to
Uh,
see a lot of that. There's a lot of chess pieces moving
Mhm.
in the logistics industry and packaging for sure.
Yeah, and we
And
got Reed coming in with overall LCA is better for plastic. Biggest controversy with LCA is it doesn't always consider life after end of use, and that's right, and that's where paper will typically win, but it's such a
yeah,
small portion of it
hmm,
that it's easy to make the argument that plastic is better than paper, but you only consider it to a certain point, and then we don't consider the rest of it. And that's the part that we all have to live with
yeah.
is the waste that happens after the fact. Yeah, it might
Right.
be great up front, but for the rest of our lives, it's not.
Well, and I'm not saying that plastic stretch wrap doesn't get recycled ever. It
Mhm.
does, by companies like Trex, and there are companies that are upcycling or downcycling it into other materials, or even recycling it into new stretch film. It's happening. It's a limited basis, but it's improving. And let's hope these laws push those efforts forward to new higher levels.
Yeah. So Chris Olson's asking, good morning, Chris. What are the best practices for clear, informative labeling that help consumers on proper end of life steps for
Mm,
packaging?
Great question. So many logos. We've talked about this. There's so many,
Yeah.
green leaf logos and different recycled chasing arrows and all of these things to the point where California now has a law that is making it illegal to put these vague labels on packaging. But what's your strategy, Avelio?
Uh, because because a lot of stuff that I work on is global
Mhm.
and every country has their own requirements. Like my packaging literally has like 10, or 15 different icons. And it might be the same exact icon, but it just has a different country identified. So,
Right.
there's like the Triman logo that you see coming out of France that really started out of France, which, was like the little guy with the 3 arrows. And then it showed each component of the packaging divided up into what bin it goes in, because they'll have 6, 7 bins and everything goes in a different bin.
Yeah.
Then Italy adopted the same thing. So it's the same exact thing, but at the top, instead of saying FR for France, it says IT for Italy. And that's what's happening until they bring them all together.
Yeah.
That's kind of what's happening. And then, Portugal has their own, and Spain has their, like Spain had the green dot program, which, you still see that. And this is the part that I think is, kind of just talks to the thing we're talking about, is like, there's so many different icons and it gets so complicated. The green dot logo is like the round logo with the 2 arrows that interlocked like a yin and a yang.
Yeah.
But that's specific to Green Dot, which was a program you'd have to pay, 6 figures to be a part of it. It didn't mean that your packaging was sustainable. It just meant that you were paying into this system,
right,
to support environmental causes somewhere along the way. But people, if you're a designer, if you're a young designer, and you're like, you type in to Google recycling logos, you're looking for the one to use, the green dot is a much nicer looking logo than the Triman logo. So you might pick that one just aesthetically, but it doesn't mean what you think it means, right? This is
that's
like
the problem.
It's pride.
Like the definition of greenwashing, right? It's so vague.
Well, it's not that. I think it's just because designers are picking the round one because it looks so much more aesthetically pleasing than the Triman. Right. But the Triman means one thing, and then the green dot, means another. So it's like, for example, if I wanted to use a logo to represent hamburger, and I typed in hamburger logos, and I got the golden arches, I'm like, oh, that looks pretty cool, and I put that on my packaging.
Right.
Like, that's kind of what's happening. Like, I'm putting the wrong thing on because
that might be frowned upon, right?
Yeah. But yeah, so like that thing's gone away, but people are still putting that on their packaging. I see brands, reach out and they're like, hey, we need to make some updates to our design. And then they hand it over and I'm like, oh, you guys are part of the green dot program. And they're like, what is that? I'm like, you have this icon here that says that you're paying into this program. They're like, no, that just means recycling. It's like, nope, that's not what it means.
And it's next week, I'll be at the Sustainable Packaging Coalition, which is part of that is the How to Recycle team. Yeah. And, we've talked about their new logos quite a bit, and they're trying to have this standardization in the industry. I don't know how far reaching that's gotten yet, but I think they're having some success.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge for How to Recycle is that they're doing it's nationwide, but across the nation, there's different requirements. So even if it tells you how to recycle, there's always the caveat of, but check your local.
Yeah, check locally, right?
Which means basically we don't know. Yeah, so it doesn't help. So again, it doesn't help. But I think I don't know.
It's a good question. Until the national laws are the same, will we be able to have a standardized logo system? That's a good question.
No, because like even California or Vermont, like they have their own regulations, right? Like for a lot of packaging, they require your paper to be 40% post-consumer waste, and then it requires that you label the packaging with that statement and that you can back that up. Yep. Other states don't require that. So
even in Oregon, we have the Recycling Modernization Act, which is part of our EPR program, which will standardize across the whole state what can be recycled curbside. Now, this is a dramatic change because now, as of today, I go 5 minutes one direction in where I live, and they can compost, and they've got food scrap recycling or composting. We don't have that where I live, and it took me months to get a soft plastics recycling bin from Waste Management because it's very difficult. They don't make it intuitive. I had to reach out to a chat bot on their website, and there wasn't a button anywhere that said, "Hey, do you want Recycling Plus?" Because that you can recycle more materials. So,
yeah. Carrie DeFore is asking if the upcoming 2D barcodes could be helpful with how to recycle. Absolutely, right? I think, we've talked about this with Adam as well. As Adam's not here; he's on assignment somewhere. But like these 2D barcodes that are coming, how quickly are they going to be deployed? How much information can they put in there? And then how is the consumer actually going to use those?
Right.
That's the one obstacle is,
can they scan them? Right.
Yeah. Not only can they scan them, but would they even scan them?
Right.
Right. So, is it there, or does it help on the separating line? Do we need to alter the equipment on the back end to help separate better? Like there's so many opportunities there.
Right.
But I don't think it's a lack of opportunities. I think it's just a lack of being a priority in a lot of people's lives. Yeah. Honestly, we're in packaging and we talk about all the different things that we can do to be more sustainable, but this isn't a conversation that's happening with my neighbors. This is a conversation that my mom's having with, with her friends.
Bigger things to worry about. Right. Right.
Yeah. Or maybe they don't.
Like affording food right now. Yeah. So,
yeah. Or maybe they don't. Maybe they're just like, what gas am I putting in my?
It's somebody else's problem, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've got Ava asking, packaging label requirements are such a pain. Absolutely, they are a pain. It's always something new to add the back. Yeah. And then when you get into like internationally, now you've got to add not only all of that stuff, but you got to add the translations and you got to add more. And there's less and less room to put on there. I know, and we typically don't do like an ad or anything like that, but you can go to the idpdirect.com website and go to there's like a design guides button there. Mm-hmm. And there is a downloadable PDF that has all of the recycling icons globally.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they're all vectors. So you can just drag them. It's a PDF. You can just drag it into Illustrator, copy, paste, and move them around as you need to. The one that's not included is going to be your FSC, because FSC, you can't use the FSC icon as you want. So anytime you're launching packaging, you've got to reach out to FSC and then give them, this is what we're doing. This is where it's being produced. Here's how it's being delivered. So you get that full chain of custody, and then they're going to send you the vector, even though it's the same one, they're going to send you the vector FSC logo with the right FSC number attached to it, and then that's what you're going to use on your packaging.
Oh, because that will tell the people where the paper came from, right?
Yeah, but but if I produce packaging A with the FSC logo and it's vector and it's got my number on it, and I go to produce another product, I could use the same one because it's going to be the exact same one, but I'm not allowed to.
Right.
Through FSC. Like I've got to reach out to them and give them, here's the specs, here's where I'm making it, even if it's the same exact stuff as the previous one.
So they can record it, right?
They will then send me the icon and say, okay, that's been logged. And then they can check and see, okay, once it's produced, they can go back through the chain of custody to make sure that the paper came from where it's supposed to, that it went to the right places, right? And make sure that the trucking company was, managing end to end, like all that stuff kind of goes into it. So definitely something I didn't know, right? And again, it's like if you're on the design side, you're Googling, you're downloading images, you're like, oh, here's FSC logo, you slap it on stuff, and or the recycle logo or whatever it is, and you don't know.
You're covered, right?
Yeah, and you're putting companies at risk.
It's a big deal. That's why you have to have the right partners.
Yeah. Richard's saying all the more focus on what's important. Yeah. So figure out what that is. Let us know. All right, we're gonna wrap it up here. We're going a little bit over on time, but thanks so much for joining us. Any questions you got on EPR, FSC, any of these things that are happening, or if you got something new happening in your area, let us know as well, because we're always looking. It's hard to keep up. Last comment here, we got Reed. Interesting. I do think subconsciously it tells people to buy less. There is no actual way to prove the relationship between the environment and waste until EPR, which I'm so amped about. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens with EPR.
Me too, Reed.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with the current administration And if they'll look at EPR as a way that it makes it harder to do business, and if that's the case, we may see some sweeping changes there as well.
Yeah. So many changes.
Gonna be crazy. All right, see you guys.